Y&R Spoilers reveal that Cole has been carrying a lingering worry that cannot be named. The prolonged coughs, echoing in the quiet night, have left his body exhausted and his mind even more confused. No one can deny the obvious change in Cole's face and eyes. The experience and bravery of the past have now given way to a gloomy, heavy, worried look. In the house that was once full of laughter and hope, silence now prevails, cold as the breath of Genoa City winter, with only the sound of a dry cough cutting through the darkness. Victoria, no matter how strong she is, cannot hide her lingering concern for Cole. She realizes that Cole has isolated himself, keeping his distance from everyone in the family, even Clare, the girl who always longs to receive his love and protection. Every time Victoria suggests that Cole should let people come take care of him or simply comfort him, Cole avoids it, only citing the worry of infecting his loved ones. But there was something deeper in his eyes, another fear that could not be named, a secret that was suppressing and tormenting his mind every day. Victoria knew Cole better than anyone. She realized that Cole's self-isolation was not simply to protect others from an infectious disease, but also Cole's way of punishing himself, of exile in loneliness and guilt. In recent days, Cole had struggled with a series of tests and diagnoses from the doctor. The results were not very positive. The calls from the clinic always made him more tired and desperate. Little by little, Victoria realized that the small hope of a recovery was gradually fading in Cole's eyes. The harsh truth from the doctor, that Cole was suffering from a serious illness, possibly a death sentence, had caused his whole world to collapse. But instead of sharing that pain, Cole chose to endure silently, not letting anyone know about the sentence hanging over his head. Clare, despite her young age and lack of life experience, was still sensitive enough to sense the unstable atmosphere in the family. She tried to approach Cole, hoping to ease his pain or at least share some of the psychological burden she felt. But every time Clare approached, Cole created an invisible wall between them, avoiding her expectant and sympathetic eyes. Clare's heart arose with a series of questions. Why had Cole become so distant? Why did Victoria always avoid her when she mentioned Cole's health? And was there something that both of them were hiding from her? That confusion and anxiety gradually turned into deep unease, causing Clare to fall into a state of disorientation, as if everything good for so long was just a fragile shell about to be broken. As time passed, Cole's health deteriorated more and more. The more severe coughs and long sleepless nights made him haggard, his eyes became distant and tired. Victoria painfully watched the man she once loved, with whom she shared so many memories, now struggling to cope with the ravages of illness. She silently took care of Cole, always trying to show strength to support him mentally, but deep down, the fear of losing Cole grew stronger. There were nights when Victoria sat quietly by Cole's bedside, listening to his heavy breathing and tears silently falling. In her heart, a series of questions rang out: how to tell Clare the truth? Should Cole keep the secret to himself until the end, or should Clare know so she could say goodbye, even though the truth might break her heart? Cole knew he didn't have much time left. He wasn't afraid of dying, but he was afraid of leaving behind a legacy of lies, afraid that Clare would never know the truth about their relationship. Over the years, Cole has tried to fulfill his role as a father, always by Clare's side to protect and guide her, even though he is haunted by the fear of her true origins. In endless nights, Cole asks himself, should he tell Clare the truth that he is not her biological father? Will Clare forgive him for hiding the truth for so many years? Or will she feel betrayed, losing the only spiritual support in her life? That struggle torments Cole more than the physical pain, more than the worry about the incurable disease that is gradually eroding his vitality. Life in Genoa City continues, but in that house, time seems to stand still. Victoria silently watches Cole's every move, trying to keep everything under control, protecting Clare from unnecessary harm. She knows that at some point, Clare will have to face the truth, will have to grow up in tears and the pain of loss. Victoria also understood that the decision to keep or reveal the truth about her bloodline was not only Cole's personal choice, but also the greatest test of her own maternal love and forgiveness. Cole's fragile life was now like a thread, and every decision, every word could become the final cut that would divide or unite the remaining members. In his room, Cole quietly looked out the window at the sky. He felt that every passing moment carried with it fear and regret. He remembered the happy times with Victoria and Clare, the seemingly endless moments of a happy little family. But now, all were just memories, and reality was the ticking of the clock as a reminder of the limited time. Cole knew that the truth about his illness could not be hidden forever, as well as the truth about his relationship with Clare would have to be revealed, even though it caused pain for all three of them. He began to write a letter, hoping to send his last words, an explanation, and a faint hope that Clare would forgive him, that Victoria would continue the journey ahead. Cole's last days passed in a mixture of reality and memory. He tried to enjoy every moment, taking advantage of the limited time he had with his loved ones, even though he knew that every word and every action could be the last. Victoria clearly felt the change in Cole. He became calmer, gentler, as if he had accepted his fate and was ready to face the inevitable end. She also tried to be stronger, preparing herself and Clare mentally to face the greatest loss of her life. One quiet night, Victoria realized that it was time for her to tell Clare the truth. She and Cole sat down, held hands, faced Clare and began to talk about the things they had always avoided. Clare was initially shocked and hurt, feeling like the whole world was collapsing under her feet. She could not believe that the man she had always respected, the man she believed to be her biological father, was not her blood. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Clare blamed both Victoria and Cole for hiding them from her all these years, for letting her live in a fake world without knowing it. But then, when she saw Cole's sincere and regretful eyes, when she heard his choked explanations, Clare realized that Cole's love and sacrifice had not changed just because of the truth about his bloodline. Even though he was not her biological father, Cole had always been her strongest support, the one who had raised, educated, and protected her all these years. The anger and disappointment in Clare's heart gradually gave way to sympathy and forgiveness. She hugged Cole, sobbing in the arms of the father she had always loved, even though she knew that their time together was running out. Victoria could not hold back her tears either, realizing that no matter how painful the truth was, it could not break the bond between family members. The last days with Cole became the most precious time, when all three learned to let go of the past, accept the present and cherish every moment together. Cole's illness gradually became a silent obsession, a shadow over Victoria and Clare's lives. But it was also that pain that helped them realize the value of family affection, making them stronger and more steadfast on the road ahead. When Cole left, he brought with him peace, the belief that Victoria and Clare would continue to live, continue to love and protect each other as he had done throughout his life. No matter how cruel the truth was, no matter how great the pain of loss, that family still existed, still steadfast in the face of storms, because they had learned to forgive, sympathize, and love unconditionally. And so, what remains after all is not a lie, but a legacy of love, sacrifice and tolerance, the motivation for Victoria and Clare to move forward, to keep faith in the future, even though there are many challenges and storms ahead with no end in sight. Since the persistent cough appeared and did not subside, Cole began to feel something very strange, as if his body was gradually betraying him. He did not tell anyone about the growing concern in his mind, just quietly withdrew into the quiet room at GCAC, where he could avoid any concerned looks or questions that would force him to face the truth that was more terrifying than the disease. Cole still clearly remembered Victoria's face when she discovered his worsening condition, the pain and helplessness that she tried to hide behind her calm demeanor. She always hoped for some miracle from the doctor, a text message or a call confirming that everything was just unfounded worry, that Cole could still return to her, to Clare, to all his loved ones, as if nothing had happened. But that hope became increasingly fragile as the days of waiting for the results dragged on endlessly, and Cole's health gradually weakened like a candle in the wind. He chose to isolate himself, citing the reason that he didn't want anyone to be infected, but deep inside, Cole knew it was fear, not only about the disease but also about the prospect of facing love, with the inevitable loss if the doctor's results were the worst. Long nights in the quiet room, Cole couldn't sleep, just lying there listening to his heavy breathing echoing in the darkness, thinking about everything he had and everything that could be lost in the blink of an eye. Victoria knew Cole didn't want her to see him in such a weak state, but she couldn't stand by and watch the man she loved suffer every day. She tried to act strong, did everything to encourage Cole, but deep down, Victoria was so scared that she wanted to give up everything. She began to think about the future, about what might happen if Cole did not survive. Should she cling to their feelings, should she keep a small hope and go through the final stretch together, or should she prepare for a painful separation? Those unanswered questions kept repeating in Victoria's mind, making her tired and helpless, sometimes just wanting to hug Cole and cry loudly, as if tears could dispel the fear of death. Meanwhile, Clare still did not know the truth about Cole's condition. This young girl was too sensitive to not feel the tense atmosphere in the family, but she did not know what to do other than observe and wait. Clare still remembered the peaceful days, when everyone laughed together, when Cole was always her solid support amid the storms of youth. But now, Cole became distant, quiet and unapproachable, making Clare feel empty and lost as if she was abandoned in her own home. The unanswered questions, hidden secrets, and Victoria's averted gaze only served to further Clare's unease, pushing her to the edge between hope and despair. Kyle, meanwhile, is struggling with his past. Haunting memories of past mistakes still linger in his mind, preventing him from truly being at peace, despite his outward appearance of strength and determination. Every time he meets Clare, Kyle sees a shadow of himself in his youthful, reckless days, and also realizes that Clare is facing the same loneliness he once did. But Kyle has no way to help, other than standing from afar, watching and waiting, hoping that one day things will be okay again. While Cole is deep in his worries, Victoria realizes that she needs to make an important decision. She wondered whether she should tell Clare the truth about Cole's illness, or let things continue in silence, so that Clare wouldn't have to suffer too soon. Victoria also thought about marrying Cole, so that she could be with him in the last days of his life, even though she knew the prospect was not easy. Those thoughts tore Victoria apart every day, making her feel like she was standing between two paths, both filled with tears and pain. As for Cole, the days waiting for the test results seemed endless. Every morning when he woke up, he could clearly feel the fatigue in every breath, the exhaustion of his strength and spirit. Cole wondered if he still had enough time to do what he needed to do, to love and protect the most important people in his life. He thought of Victoria, of the deep affection they had for each other, of the happy moments they had shared, and wondered if he should be brave enough to ask her to marry him, so they could hold hands for the rest of their lives. The thought warmed Cole's heart, if only for a brief moment amid the constant pain of reality. Cole's phone vibrated, signaling a text message from the doctor. Victoria was beside him, holding his hand tightly, her eyes filled with tears but shining with unusual determination. The results were clear: Cole's illness had entered the final stage, and there was not much time left. The air in the room seemed to thicken, the two of them just silently hugged each other, neither of them expressing the great pain that was rising in their hearts. After all the doubts and fears, the truth was now revealed, leaving behind broken hearts and endless regrets for things that had not been said, for the love that had not been given. In the following days, Victoria and Cole planned their future together, a short but meaningful future. Victoria decided to accept Cole's proposal, wanting to spend the rest of her days with the person she loved, not letting anything stand in the way. The wedding took place simply, without noise but full of love, as an affirmation to themselves that no matter how short life is, no matter how cruel fate is, love is still the most important and beautiful thing that people can preserve. Clare initially could not accept the truth about Cole's illness. She felt abandoned in the dark, no one told her what was really going on, no one shared her pain or gave her an explanation. Clare closed herself off, telling herself that if she didn't know, she wouldn't be in pain, but in reality, the pain gnawed at her soul every day and every hour. It was only when Victoria sat down with Clare, gently telling her everything, that Clare truly broke down in tears, realizing that she was not alone, that the pain belonged to everyone in the family, not just her. Kyle witnessed everything but could do nothing but stay by Clare's side, quietly comforting her with his silent care. The past still haunted Kyle, but he understood that now, the most important thing was the present, being with the people he loved when they needed him the most. Kyle's presence became a support for Clare, helping her gradually regain her balance and face the harsh reality. Cole's last days passed in the loving arms of Victoria, Clare, Kyle, and all those close to him. Although they knew that time was running out, no one let pain or despair overwhelm hope and affection. Every moment became precious, every word, every hug, every look exchanged contained a world of longing. Cole passed away peacefully, carrying with him the belief that his love and memories would live forever in the hearts of those left behind. After all, Victoria and Clare learned to stand up from the loss, moving forward strongly even though they knew that there were many difficulties ahead. Victoria's choice to marry Cole is a testament to the power of love and courage in the face of fate. Clare grows through her pain, understanding that despite the darkness that surrounds her, light always exists where there is love and sharing. The story of Cole, Victoria, Clare, and Kyle is not only a tragedy of illness and loss, but also an epic of faith, hope and inner strength, of the ability to overcome fate to find meaning in life, even in the last moment. After the simple funeral filled with tears and silent hugs, Victoria's house was filled with a special silence, without Cole's laughter or gentle words of encouragement whenever Clare stumbled. The pain of loss enveloped all family members, but life continued to move on, forcing each person to learn to adapt to the new reality even though their souls were still bleeding from separation. Victoria spent many days sitting motionless in her bedroom, looking out at the front yard, where Cole used to mow the lawn, water the plants, or simply sit there drinking coffee and pondering about life. She realized that all the beautiful memories of Cole were not lost, but on the contrary, they were more deeply imprinted in every corner of the house, in every breath every night. Sometimes, Victoria still felt like Cole's figure was still quietly beside her, gently watching, giving her the strength to continue moving forward. Clare was different, a young girl lost in the midst of overwhelming and difficult-to-name emotions. She avoided everyone, rarely left her room, only silently looked through old photos of Cole on her phone, cried alone in the dark and wondered when she would escape the nightmare of reality. Cole's departure made Clare feel disoriented. The feeling of safety and protection throughout her childhood suddenly disappeared, replaced by insecurity, doubt, and fear about the future. There were nights when Clare dreamed of Cole standing at the end of the hallway, beckoning her to come, saying that everything would be okay, as long as she was strong enough to overcome it. But every time she woke up, there was only a heartbreaking emptiness, the echoes of old promises dissolved into the morning mist. Clare became more closed off, afraid to share her feelings with Victoria, even though they both knew they needed each other more than ever. Kyle was also caught up in that emotional vortex, although on the surface he still maintained his usual calm. The pain of losing an old friend, losing someone who had been with him through many happy and sad days in Genoa City, kept Kyle awake at night many times, thinking about the value of friendship, of family, and things that had never been said. He spent more time with Clare, trying to get her to open up with old stories about Cole, about sweet memories so that Clare would remember that she was not alone in this world. It was the moments with Clare that helped Kyle heal his own wounds, realizing that he was not just an observer, but also had the responsibility to be a support, a helping hand for the people he loved the most. When the pain gradually subsided, Victoria realized that she could not continue like this. She stood up, started cleaning the house, rearranging Cole's personal belongings. Each item reminded her of a story, a memory. Sometimes she smiled when she remembered the times Cole clumsily made coffee in the morning, sometimes she cried when she touched the old jacket that still had his familiar scent. But then, Victoria realized that the most important thing was to keep the spirit that Cole left behind, not the inanimate material. She decided to return to work, participate in Newman's projects, and devote herself as Cole had encouraged her to pursue her passion and ambition. It was during those busy hours that Victoria found her inherent courage, the belief that she could be both a support for Clare and a guide for herself. Clare also began to change. One day, she took the initiative to go to Victoria's office, hesitantly asking her mother to let her intern at Newman, with the desire to learn and be busier to fill the void in her soul.